To Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. That means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. A lot to get to in the next 2 hours. Got some Saints talk that we're going to get to. Mickey Loomis talking about the draft pick of Kool-Aid McKinstry and what that means potentially for Marshon Lattimore. We'll get to that at the bottom of hour number one. LSU continues to search for some defensive tackles in the transfer portal. That's coming up at 2 o'clock. I've got a lot of college baseball postseason talk I want to get to, and very excited to have Matt McMahon join the show coming up at 2:30. LSU's basketball roster for 2024-2025 is just about set, and we're going to talk to Coach McMahon about that coming up an hour and a half from right now, so very much looking forward to that. We're going to start with LSU baseball. The Tigers win the weekend over Texas A&M, the number one team in the country. Get dusted pretty good in Game 3, but that doesn't take away from Games 1 nor Game 2. So a solid weekend when you put it all together. Sort of a bummer of an ending over the last 5 innings on Sunday afternoon at the Box. I want to kind of go through how it played out, and then we'll get into some of the details and some of my takeaways from the weekend. So on Friday night, Gage Jump gets the ball, and he's facing Ryan Prager. And the question entering Friday is, okay, Gage Jump has been really good the last 2 weeks, but Missouri's awful and Auburn's awful. What happens when you face one of the top lineups in college baseball? And I thought Gage Jump answered the bell. Yes, he gave up 3 solo home runs. Laviolette got him in the first inning, had a couple from Camarillo, and he gave up 3 homers, which is not great, but they were solo homers. And as Jay Johnson said after the game, the key is to not allow them to get the big inning. That was obviously prophetic moving forward onto Sunday, but Jump limited the damage, and he held the rope into the 6th inning. And at that point, you are in a tight ball game. It's 6-3. And Jay's got a decision to make. Do you want to go to Griffin Herring now? It's a long way to go to get home there. Is there anybody else that you trust? Is Nate Ackenhausen healthy? He decides to go to Fidel Ulloa. And that was a surprising move to me with the lead in that game. And Ulloa was excellent. He got you 4 outs, only allowed 1 hit, had a strikeout. He was in the strike zone. And he got the baton to Griffin Herring. The story for LSU's pitching in this game, Jump to Ulloa to Herring, 0 walks. No walks in Friday's game. Fantastic work there. And that was the most important thing for LSU, was to limit that A&M offense. And then I thought LSU could swing the bats against this Aggie pitching staff, specifically the starting rotation. And quite frankly, on Friday, LSU got a bit of a gift for their first 2 runs. You've got a situation where Tommy White's coming to the dish, 1 out, guys on base. He hits a tailor-made 2-ball to Gavin Grahovic at third base. Grahovic touches the bag, sails it into the bullpen. Awful throw. And LSU plates a couple of runs on that. Later on, Josh Pearson gets a huge 2-run double to the opposite field, a hit that has evaded LSU for months now, it seems like. And that was enough to get Griffin Herring to the finish line. Now, I was about to have a panic attack when Braden Montgomery stepped in as the go-ahead run. One of the top 5 players in the Southeastern Conference, and Herring gets him on the strikeout. Do I think it was a strike? I don't care. I'll take the charity. I'll take Gavin Grahovic sailing one into the bullpen. I'll take a nice call from the umpire. We don't have to talk about the interference call with Hayden Travinski because it didn't end up mattering. And LSU gets the win that they really, really, really needed to get. And then you go to Saturday. Had a little delay there, but the crowd came in, was packed. It was a great environment. And Luke Holman comes out and just doesn't have it. He's walking guys. A&M's hitting the ball hard. And it looked like it was going to get out of hand in the first inning. But Holman's able to settle in, get a strikeout to end the inning, and A&M only plates 3 runs. Holman then settled in a little bit and got things stabilized. Tommy White homer, Jared Jones homer. Those guys go back-to-back for the second time in the week. And then Travinski, another big 2-out RBI hit. Jay Johnson calls those golden. They're good as gold. And it was a great piece of hitting by Travinski to go the other way and to not the score. And LSU gets those 3 runs in the third inning, and then you come back in the fourth, and you've got the momentum, you've tied the game, and then all of a sudden, Holman loses it again. You got the bases loaded, nobody out, and A&M is ready to seize control of this game. And Holman summoned something that he hadn't had for the last 5 minutes and struck out the side on 9 pitches. And instead of A&M taking control of the momentum and the environment and the game, Holman flips that with 3 straight strikeouts of Targac, Grahovic, and Lavalette. Not exactly a cakewalk, but he made it look that way and got LSU back in the dugout. Now, in the 7th, LSU is able to take the lead with a run, and it was a gift. It was a leadoff walk. Then Larson struck out, but it was a wild pitch that got away, so he's able to reach, and everybody moves up. And then Jim Schlossnagle goes to Evan Ostenbeck, his best pitcher, who's got fantastic control, and he throws another wild pitch, and that plates the run. I mean, that's just a gift. A walk and 2 wild pitches, you'll take it. LSU would add insurance in the 8th, and Michael Braswell scored the first of those 2 runs thanks to an error by the second baseman that allowed him to get on base. What I'm getting at here is if you look at Grahovic's throw back on Friday, if you look at the 2 wild pitches and the leadoff walk and then the error by the second baseman on Saturday, LSU caught Texas A&M on a weekend where they just didn't play very well. And you know what? I'm not going to apologize for it. LSU has gotten a lot of teams' best shots this year, and LSU has played poorly at times this year and been very generous. So if A&M wants to come to the box, kick it around a little bit, I'm all for it. Because, quite frankly, if A&M plays their A game, LSU's in big trouble in this series. You were going to need a little bit of help, and A&M gave you a little bit of help, and LSU's bullpen, namely Christian Little, made it stand up after Luke Holman. Christian Little was sensational on Saturday. I have not seen him look like that in purple and gold, and I think there's probably some people in Nashville that would say they never saw him like that in black and gold. We know Christian Little, his story. Early enrollee at Vanderbilt, should have been a senior in high school. Instead, he's playing in the SEC. Highly, highly touted recruit. Never really worked out there. And then last year, he was relegated to mop-up duty for LSU. He's out there as Florida's bashing balls into the seat time and time again. I had left the stadium by that point in Game 2 of the College World Series Final. But Little was out there. And in a huge spot with the season on the line. Make no mistake, the season was on the line this weekend. Jay Johnson goes to Christian Little, and in 3 2/3 innings, he only allows 2 hits and a run. He struck out 6 and walked 1. He had a fastball that was touching 97. He was throwing that cutter that was just nasty. It looked great. And Lohr comes in and can't make a play at shortstop. They go to Guidry. And, folks, I'll be quite honest, when that ball left the bat, I'm sitting there next to Chris Blair in the press box, I thought we had a tie ball game. I thought that ball was in the gap. I thought things were in big trouble. But Paxton Kling got on his horse, ran it down, and LSU gets the second win. So you come back, and I think you could make the case, or try to make the case, that LSU was kind of playing with house money on Sunday. You've won the series against the best team in the country. No one really expected you to do that. But in quite honesty, you don't have any house money to play with. You're almost out of money here. Any loss at this point is nearly catastrophic. But LSU finally got off to a good start. They played from behind on Friday and Saturday. They got off to a good start on Sunday. They get the 2 runs in the second inning. You add on to that with another one in the third. Shout out Brady Neal for a heck of a swing for a home run into the wind, and then Pearson with a big hit. And you're up 3-0. And it looks pretty good. And Sam Dutton looked very good in relief of Nate Ackenhausen. And then he made one mistake to Gavin Grahovic, who got it up into the jet stream, hit it really hard off the batters after the 3-run homer. And at that point, LSU was going to have to dip into the bullpen. And as we know, on Sundays, that becomes a bit of a problem. We have seen it time and time and time again. And you threw Lore out there, and you threw Hurd out there, and that was an absolute disaster. Those guys combined to get one out. They allowed 5 earned runs, had 4 walks between them, and they got one out. And then you go to Aiden Moffitt, who actually was the bright spot of Sunday's game. He was throwing 96 miles an hour, got through 3 1/3 shutout innings, struck out 6, which was encouraging, but the damage was done, and obviously LSU had a lot of trouble with Chris Cortez, who has been a super talented dude in College Station for 2 years, but hasn't quite figured it out. He figured it out yesterday, and he was throwing 100 miles an hour with a really good slider, and LSU was just a bit overmatched. I thought maybe the moment in that game that we'll forget, because A&M scored 9 runs in a 50-minute inning in the 5th, but the moment LSU could have broken it open was in the 3rd, when they had a 3-run lead and the bases loaded and 2 outs and mile him up, and he grounded out. If he can shoot one in a gap there and make it 6-0, all of a sudden I think that game might unfold a little bit differently, but LSU was not able to add to it there, and A&M went nuts, as they're prone to do. So, look, overall, it's a positive result on the weekend. You got 2 games from a really, really tough team. Did I feel like having won 2 games up 3-0 in the middle innings on Sunday, you had an opportunity to get another win, which is oh so important at this point? I did. But looking back in hindsight, is it shocking that A&M went nuts? It's not, because that's what's happened to LSU almost every Sunday this entire season. So that's how we got here. I've got some thoughts on where you go from here, and then in the second hour, we're going to talk about where LSU's NCAA tournament resume stacks up. I've got some thoughts on that. But when we come back, I'll talk about LSU from a pitching perspective and where they need to go next. Our baseball breakdowns all season long are brought to you by Pluckers. Get on by Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Always an awesome option over at Pluckers. Love telling you about them, and love our baseball breakdowns all season long, courtesy of the folks over at Pluckers. When we come back, some more LSU baseball talk. That's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit us at LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this spring for all the hoops and hockey playoff action. We've got the biggest screens, the best food and drink. Plus, we're giving away Penn cash bonuses and prizes to Penn Play Rewards members. Not a member? No big deal. You can join today by downloading and registering for the Penn Play app from the App Store. Unlock all the fun, including a chance to win up to $2,000 in Penn cash. All this and more. Make LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino your spring sports viewing headquarters. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing, and sheet metal.
Musso, join us for Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Saints undrafted free agents Kyler Ball and Kyle Sheets join the show. Plus, we're recapping LSU A&M and the latest in the transfer portal for LSU football. It's Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out to the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them. All your printing, copying, scanning needs. Trey Beal and the gang over at Gulf Coast. Just walk through the entire weekend and what it was. In big picture, it was obviously a positive for LSU, but was and what it has been for this team all year. Move forward to the next 2 weekends because you need to win both of these series. And yes, you've won 3 in a row. That's fantastic. But you need to win the last 2 as well. And it's just very difficult to win a series when you've got a game that has given you as much problem as Game 3 has for LSU. I'll just run through this. I mean, you watched it all, but here it is just presented with some comment to follow. Against Mississippi State, you lost 15-5 in Game 3. Against Florida, you lost 12-2 in Game 3. Against Arkansas, you were competitive, but you lost 7-5 in Game 3. Against Vanderbilt, at home, at the box, rubber game of that series, you lost 13-3. Up in Knoxville, you lose 8-4. You beat Missouri in that rubber game, the only game you've won in a Game 3 this year. That was a 6-2 win for LSU. But Auburn beat you 7-5, and then A&M beat you 14-4. You have lost by double digits 4 times in 8 tries. Half the time you play a Game 3 in league play, you lose by 10. In Game 3s this year, LSU has been outscored 78-34. That is a 44-run difference in Game 3s. So you're putting all the pressure on Games 1 and 2 with Jump and Holman pitching and wherever Griffin Herring tends to work out. And let's be clear, like, these Game 3s are not being lost because offensively you can't get it done. They're getting lost because you can't pitch to an SEC level on Sunday. And we spoke all January about how deep this staff was. And as you sit here in the first week of May, in crunch time, I think everyone feels pretty good about where Gage Jump is. I think everyone feels good when Luke Holman's out there. I know everyone feels good when Griffin Herring's got the ball. And then after that, it's just kind of a mixed bag. Nate Ackenhausen's had his moments that have been very good. He's also coming off an injury. Christian Little's been great for the last 3 weeks. In his last 5 outings, Christian Little has totaled 10 2/3 innings, so a little bit more than 1 9-inning game. 10 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 15 strikeouts for Christian Little. Is he creeping into that trusted category? Maybe. I think Sam Dutton has earned some time. I don't know that you necessarily need Sam Dutton to go 5 innings for you, But I think in a situation where you need strikes and some competitiveness, I think he can get you 5 or 6 outs. That's what he did in this game before Grahovic hit the home run. But is Aiden Moffitt trustworthy? He was good on Sunday. I don't know. Is Fidel Yoa ready for that? He was good in game 1. But you just don't have enough guys that you trust. And there's nobody that you can turn to on Sunday and say, hey, I need 16, 17, 18 outs. Like, you got to get me into the 6th inning. There's nobody on the staff. And it's just such a puzzling thing. And I got asked the question on the On3 message board, like, what do you attribute the lack of depth on this staff to? And I said, honestly, I cannot point to one thing. It's not one thing. It's a litany of things that have come together to create a lack of depth. I cannot give you a really good explanation as to why Thatcher Hurd is a non-factor on this team in May. He was a factor start to finish last year. There were bumps in the road. He was not good in his start against Tennessee. He was not good against Mississippi State. But he was always pitching on the weekends. Sometimes in a closing role, sometimes in a starting role. And it wasn't always perfect, but he was a factor. And then we know what happened in the postseason. In the regional with 12 strikeouts and great pitching against Florida. He saved LSU's season in the Skeens Louder Wake Forest game by going out there and hanging a couple zeros. But he's a non-factor now. I don't know what to attribute that to. I don't think Nate Yeskie came in and poisoned his delivery. There may be a lack of confidence. I don't know. Cade Anderson looked incredible right out of the gate. Dominating on Tuesdays. Just sensational against Southeastern. Sensational against Rice. You look up and his SEC ERA is 27. Now, that's a little unfair because he's only had 3 1/3 innings pitched, but he's given up 10 earned runs. Justin Lohr, his SEC ERA is almost 10, 9.95. That's a guy that pitched in a huge spot against Vanderbilt in the Super Regional, finished their season off, veteran, left-hander, and he looked pretty good in the non-conference. He got a big save in the game in Houston. I think that was on Saturday. But he hasn't been good enough in the SEC and certainly wasn't good yesterday. You know, Cam Johnson is being babied along in his freshman year, not ready to go. Javen Coleman has pitched 6 1/3 SEC innings. His ERA is 9.95. Gavin Guidry's SEC ERA is 9. But it's not like you can immediately just like go to the new pitching coach and Nate Yeskie, well, look, all these guys are not good as we thought they were. That's the pitching coach's fault. Well, okay, you could do that, except has Herring gotten better? Has Gage Jump gotten better as the season's gone on? Has Christian Little gotten better? Has Aiden Moffitt gotten better? I would suggest, yeah, all those guys have made real strides. It's just a combination of guys that are too young to help right now, transfers that didn't necessarily translate, and probably some execution issues by some of the guys that have gone out there and given up some big hits. But as you look forward, the point of this exercise is like, how do we get through the next 2 weekends with 4 wins? Because that's probably what it's going to take. And the answer is either you're going to need to win 2 tight games and have the last one just completely get away, like what happened in the game on Saturday, or you're going to need to dust somebody, like LSU did in game 1 against Missouri, get it out of there with 7 innings and save the whole bullpen so that you've got guys ready when the tight game comes along later on. LSU's pitching staff, as it's constructed right now, is not in a position to win 3 tight games in a weekend. There aren't enough guys to pitch all those high leverage innings. You're going to have to create some wins that come without high leverage arms. Because I don't think you're going to be able to just snap a finger and have some of the guys I just rattled off that have ERAs over 9, and they're just going to all of a sudden, it's going to click in. I just don't know that that's realistic. Offensively, you found some things. You've got Gage Jump now, who's put together 3 really strong outings in league play. You've got Holman, who you trust, and you've got 3-4 bullpen guys that you think can get you some big outs. but it kind of stops right there. I mentioned Jump. I wanted to give some of his numbers over the last 3 outings because he's been very, very good since the start, which was so good at Missouri. Let's see. I had it right here. Nope. Didn't have the stats. I thought I wrote it in my piece on 3, and I was just going to read them off there. But I know that it's been really, really good for 3 weeks. I know the solo homers aren't super exciting, and you don't want to give those up like he did on Friday. But Jump was good enough against a really good A&M offense. He gets you into the 6th inning, only allows the 3 runs on the solo homers, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 4. That's the guy that we thought was the best pitcher on this staff entering the season. I told you at the beginning of the year, I had a conversation with someone that would know that said, I think Jump's probably our best pitcher. And then he comes out and doesn't allow an earned run in the non-conference, and I'm going, okay, you've got Holman and Jump. That's a monster 1-2. And then Jump, for the first month and a half of SEC play, was really on the ropes. And I guess the combination of pitching more innings, which he's done, getting more comfortable, developing that confidence, and the schedule taking a turn there with some lesser teams and lineups in Missouri and Auburn who don't hit a ton, and now all of a sudden he's ready to go out there and pitch. So I think those 2 guys give LSU a real chance every weekend, but it's probably going to have to be those 2 guys because there's not much after them that you feel good about in terms of eating up big chunks of ball games. Just not in the cards. Ackenhausen, you thought maybe could have been that guy, but now coming off the hamstring injury, like how much length are you going to get out of him? I don't know. He was only able to go 44 pitches before being taken out of the game yesterday. So all in all, LSU's in as good a spot as they could hope to be after turning at 3-12. You've got 2 weeks to go, and you're right there. As Jay Johnson said yesterday after the game, we're in the fight. We're not in the field, but we're in the fight. I did see On 3, who's put out some regional projections today. The rest will come out tomorrow. But On 3 did some regional projections today and did have LSU in the field as a 3 seed in Chapel Hill. Long way to go to get there. A lot of variables to be had, and we'll talk a lot about that coming up in hour number 2. I've got all the teams that I think LSU's competing with in the Southeastern Conference, who they play, what LSU needs to do. I got a lot of numbers that we'll kick around in the second hour. Baseball breakdowns all season long, brought to you by Pluckers. When we come back, Mickey Loomis speaks on the radio about future of Marshon Lattimore and where the Saints are headed at cornerback. We'll talk about that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you.
Sandigriff joined me and Jimmy Ott for the next edition of Live at Lunch from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Andy Isco joins us from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Moving right along here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week is off to a great start. It's finals week at LSU, is that correct? Cassie's nodding her head over there. I always kind of liked finals week because I felt like there's only like 3 things I had to do the whole week. Like you had said to be somewhere 3 different places, and then you're free. You don't have to feel like you have to go to class. Just make sure you're ready to go at Tuesday at 2, Wednesday at 6:30, and Friday morning at 8. And that's kind of all you do. A lot of pajama wearing on my finals weeks for me. Pajama pants, t-shirts. Probably not eating super healthy. It's a long time ago though. All right, let's talk some Saints. Mickey Loomis, Saints general manager, was on with Adam Shine on Mad Dog Sports Radio, part of Sirius XM, and he was talking about the draft pick of Kool-Aid McKinstry and whether or not that meant they were looking to shop Marshon Lattimore.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Marshon's been a really good player for us for a good period of time. He's one of the leaders of our team, and look, it's just like I said, we can use as many corners as we can get, and we've got a good group, a really good group, and they're going to help each other, and they're going to help our team win.
I agree with everything that Mickey said there. They've got a really good group at cornerback. Marshon Lattimore, when he's healthy, is an excellent cornerback. Alontae Taylor has played very, very well. Paulson Adebo has played very, very well. Like, those guys are really solid players. And you see Jordan Howden and playing some safety and some slot, and then you bring in Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's a high draft pick. Like, they've got a really good group there at cornerback. And Marshon Lattimore's case is an interesting one because you drafted him in 2021, and immediately he comes out and is the Defensive Rookie of the Year, was a great cover corner from the day he set foot on an NFL field. And he made 3 Pro Bowls and was exceptionally durable for the first, call it 5 years of his career. The last 2 years have been rather bumpy. He played 7 games in 2022 and 10 games in 2023. So you're talking about missing an entire season over the last 2 years. Missed 10 games in 22 and 7 games in 2023. That's a total of 17. He had been really durable before that. He's 28 years old when he plays this season, and you've got an opt-out after this year in the contract. So we'll see what the Saints' plan is for Marshon Lattimore. Clearly, the 2024 New Orleans Saints will be a better team if he's available to them. That's obvious. What we don't know is what a return for Marshon Lattimore could look like. And if you're looking at the Jalen Ramsey trade and looking at some of the corners that have moved, like the return has not been super awesome. Like if you could get a second-round pick for Marshon Lattimore, I think I'd be in for that moving forward. But I don't think that's available. I think you're looking more towards the back end of the draft. And at that point, is that worth it? Probably not. But that's something that we don't know. If the Saints were to move on from Marshon Lattimore, we would know unequivocally that they're in a bit of a reset here. We've suggested that we think that's what they're doing based on the moves that we've seen this offseason, but it's not that obvious. Like, if I looked at the Saints offseason and I said, okay, they've signed a bunch of guys to cheap one-year deals. They did not mortgage a bunch of draft picks to move up to get one guy early in the draft. You would suggest that's a little different than what we've seen the Saints do over the years. But it's not like it's not a fire sale, okay? And I don't expect to see a fire sale, but what I think we're seeing is a bit of a reset. Although I don't think it's going to include moving Marshon Lattimore. When they picked Kool-Aid McKinstry, that's the first thing I thought of was, that feels like they're moving on from Lattimore. And they may at the end of this season. And this all bundles back into the stuff that I've been talking about with New Orleans for the last month. Everything they do needs to be with an eye on 2025, 2026, 2027. Because I just don't feel great about 2024. And that may be why they took Kool-Aid McKinstry. Because if you look at it, and everyone stays healthy, which is a huge if, he doesn't have a very quick path to the field. Lattimore's going to be out there. Adebo's going to be out there. Taylor's going to be out there. And they've got, in terms of secondary players, Matthew and Howden and Jonathan Abram. Like, they've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football, some at a very high level. McKinstry doesn't fit in immediately. But you know what? If that pick was made because you think that Marshon Lattimore is going to be moving on after this year, and you want to pair Kool-Aid McKinstry with Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo and continue that run of really good defensive back play while cleaning up a little bit of money off your books as Marshon Lattimore moves on, that seems like a good idea to me. But as I continue to have these thoughts and look at it from that perspective, I also have to come back from the other side and go, Dennis Allen can't sit there and stand for that. Because if you don't go all in on this season, it may be Dennis Allen's last as a head coach in football. Like, that's realistic. The first 2 years haven't been that great. And if this one doesn't go that great, well, you kind of know what happens next. And that was my fear in this offseason, is that you would have a Saints organization in desperate need of cutting out the long-term contracts, making sure you draft a lot of players, being cautious in free agency, understanding that there are some aging players on this team. All that needed to be the mindset. But as you look at Dennis Allen, he can't operate with that as the mindset because he'll be gone. He'll be the defensive coordinator for the Colts if that's the case. But it seems like they are slowing things down a little bit. Again, it would be black and white if Lattimore was dealt. I just don't think the return is going to be there for that. So I expect him to be there. As far as that contract goes, potential opt-out, just don't know what the market would be for Marshon Lattimore, being that he's coming off 2 injury-plagued seasons. He's entering his age 28 season. He's playing a young man's position, and he hasn't been out there as much the last couple of years. I don't think there's a huge market for that. So the Saints will hold on to him, and they'll have a really good secondary. As much as I've kind of downplayed this Saints roster until you don't feel great about it, I feel good about the secondary. And with Marshon Lattimore in there, that's all the more reason to feel really good about the secondary. And it's a pass-happy league, and having that as one of the strengths of your team, if not the strength of your team, makes a lot of sense. That first thought I had when they drafted McKinstry was like, really? Drafting to a strength of your team? But then as I start to think about it more and more, even though Mickey Loomis says they're not going to trade Marshon Lattimore, not actively looking to trade Marshon Lattimore, I'm thinking, no, but you know what? It's okay if Kool-Aid McKinstry doesn't play a lot this year. See what you got in him, and if it's good enough that you can move on from Marshon Lattimore and feel good about the secondary that you've got after he leaves, that's a good thing. So we'll see. Saints offseason continues to churn there on Airline Highway. Rookie minicamp coming up here in the next couple of weeks. We'll certainly talk to Sharif Ishak about it coming up tomorrow, and we'll chat with Luke Johnson coming up on Thursday's show. If you're looking for our Saints content, you can always find it on YouTube. Hunt on Saints is our YouTube channel for all things black and gold all year long. If you don't want to sift through the 2-hour shows on YouTube that are uploaded each and every day, got the Saints content plucked out right there on Hunt on Saints YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, rate, review. We always certainly appreciate that. Hope your work week is off to a really good start. We're presented by Gulf Coast Office Products on our Monday shows. When we come back, we'll close out hour number 1.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments on the road to a championship. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the playoffs. New users can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. That's right. Place a bet up to $1,000. If it doesn't win, get a no-sweat reset right there. Download the ESPN app today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Musso, join us for Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Saints undrafted free agents Kyler Ball and Kyle Sheets join the show. Plus, we're recapping LSU A&M and the latest in the transfer portal for LSU football. It's Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
While you're busy with spring cleaning, we'd like to add to the clutter in your bank account to the tune of $2,000. It's the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. Register today. Just 2 more days left. May 8th is the last day to register at 1045ESPN.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Shout out to Trey Beal and the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them. If you're looking for printing, copying, scanning, Gulf Coast Office Products can help you out with all of that. No matter what vertical market you're in, whether it's healthcare, banking, whether you're a law firm, school, municipality, or just like us, a media company, Trey Beal's got a client that's just like you, and he understands the needs of those specific vertical markets in the business world, and he can help you get the printer, copier, scanner that best suits you. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. If you haven't given any thought to what your printer, copier, scanner can and can't do, you may want to do that.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Well, and their pitching has been good enough. They did also get a really good break from the league office. You're talking about a Kentucky team that got some of the lighter teams in the league early on, churned through all of those, and you look at the top of the league where Arkansas and Tennessee are challenging them. They got both of those teams to come to Lexington in the second half of the season. Tennessee got out of there with 2 out of 3. Arkansas, not so fortunate. Kentucky wins the rubber game of that series, and they win the series 2-1. Hagen Smith did win his start against Arkansas, but Kentucky won the other 2 ball games, and that's a really, really nice win for Nick Mingione's team. Here's the deal. I am unwilling to let go of a grudge that is now 11 years old. Nick Mingione screamed at Tyler Hanover in Starkville 11 years ago, and I will never forgive him for that because I'm petty, and that's my team, and that's my school. So I cannot pull for Kentucky in good faith because I don't like their head coach. However, he's done a very good job. They were good last year. They got to the Super Regional last year, ran into a buzzsaw here, but the road to Omaha is going to go through Lexington this year for the Cats. They're going to be at home. They're going to be a top 8 seed. They pretty much put that to bed over the weekend, and that's a big, big win for Kentucky against Arkansas. Tennessee just absolutely waylaid Florida in the rubber game of that series, handed Jack Caglione his first loss of the season on the mound. They win 2 out of 3 in Gainesville. I was listening to Charlie's show earlier today, live at lunch, and he was talking with Max and said that Kendall Rogers had said that he thought that Tennessee was the best team in the country. You can make that case. Their offense is ferocious, and they've pitched it better. They've kind of had to mix and match how they want to handle things from a mound perspective, but Tennessee is very, very good. And Florida now is just one game clear of 500. And you understand that if you are not over 500, you cannot qualify for the NCAA tournament as an at-large team. That's something we're going to monitor, and you got to pull against Florida coming up in the midweek tomorrow as they take on South Florida. Georgia swept Vanderbilt. Man, Vanderbilt is a weird team to watch. They got swept at College Station, swept by Georgia. They've done some sweeping. Like, they've seen all ends of the gamut there in Nashville. But Georgia has been really impressive. They don't have a good pitching staff at all. But Charlie Condon hits a home run just about every time he comes up, and they're ferocious offensively. So they sweep Vanderbilt, and that's a huge win for Georgia, who looks like they very well may be a host and could eventually work their way into the top 8, depending on how the next couple of weeks go. That's Wes Johnson doing a heck of a job there with a pretty mediocre pitching staff in Athens. The Battle of Columbias, South Carolina beats Missouri in the rubber game to take 2 out of 3 in that one. South Carolina trying to find its way towards the host site situation. Really not a good idea to go to Columbia, Missouri and lose 2 out of 3, so they did a good job of getting out of that one with a win. Mississippi State beat Alabama 2 out of 3. And Ole Miss, this is something we're going to talk about a lot coming up in about 20 minutes when we go through the SEC standings and what LSU needs to do to get into the NCAA tournament. But Ole Miss, they got one stolen last night. I don't know if a lot of you were watching that, but Ole Miss took a lead into the late innings and ended up just handing the game to Auburn with a bad wild pitch walk-off to end it. They're trying to nail down a sweep against Auburn and couldn't get it done. So that's a big loss for Ole Miss, and they now sit there in a little bit of a precarious position entering the last 2 weeks. That weekend between LSU and Ole Miss in the box is going to be very, very important for a number of reasons. You're talking about coaching situation in Oxford. You're talking about making it to the NCAA tournament. You're talking about making it to Hoover. Like, there's going to be a lot of dominoes moving around that weekend when Ole Miss comes to Baton Rouge here. I'll actually be on the SEC Network call of that one for Game 3 of that series. Something is probably going to be on the line at that point, so I'll be on with Lynn Rollins talking about that. So a wild weekend in SEC play. There are 2 weekends left in league play, and quite frankly, like, I'm just excited I can sit here and talk about it because it's very, very possible when LSU is sitting there at 3-12 in league play after 15 games, that we could be really not spending any time on baseball right now. I mean, if they would have gone out, lost 2 out of 3 to Missouri, gotten swept by Texas A&M, and sit there with 5 conference wins right now, like, there's nothing to talk about. It's like, wake me up when the draft happens. But because LSU found a way to get the rubber game against Missouri, the only Game 3 they've won all year, found a way to get 2 out of 3 against Auburn last week, and then found a way against the number 1 team in the country to win the series. Now they've won 3 series in a row. It's at least relevant to have the discussion that LSU could make the NCAA tournament. I would suggest it's still a little bit of an uphill battle, and we'll talk about that in the second segment of hour number 2 at 2:15, why I think it's an uphill battle. But you're in the fight, as Jay Johnson said multiple times over the weekend, like, we've given ourselves a chance. And I thought LSU played loose this weekend. I thought they played relaxed. I thought they played hard. I thought they played pretty well for the most part, especially in games 1 and 2, obviously. So they haven't mailed it in. They haven't packed it in. They're tough, and they're playing as best they can. It's a limited team from a number of perspectives, but they've got themselves a chance to move up in the standings and to get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament. And once you get in, you just go play. Do I like LSU's chances of winning 3 games in a weekend? Not a ton, but we'll see. If they get there, it'll certainly be something worth monitoring. Our baseball breakdowns brought to you all season long by Pluckers. Breggie's Creole Crush. That's the new sauce over there at Pluckers from the Alex Bregman line of hot sauces and spices. It's really, really good. I've had a chance to try it. You can get on by and give it a try. It's got some kick to it, but it's not super hot, and some great flavor as well. I'm partial to honey barbecue. I'm partial to garlic parm, but the Breggie's Creole Crush, very, very good as well. I'll be at Pluckers tomorrow for sports trivia if you want to come on by and test your sports knowledge. If you missed any of hour number 1, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. All of our shows are archived in their totality there every single day. It's Off the Bench, it's Live at Lunch, Hunt Palmer Show, AFR, all there at 1045ESPN.com. If you're an app person, Spotify, catch us on Google, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your sound, you can certainly find us. And YouTube, Appreciate it if you subscribe to two of our channels, Hunt on Saints as well as Hunt on LSU. I opened the show talking about how LSU was able to take 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M over the weekend, and then at 1:15 we kind of dove into the pitching situation that LSU finds itself in right now. Who can you trust, and how do you get through a weekend winning 2 of 3? They've got to do it 2 more times coming up. We talked some Saints at 1:30. Marshon Lattimore, is his time in New Orleans coming to a close? I don't think so, and neither does Mickey Loomis, but we had to talk about it there at 1:30. LSU football is still in the transfer portal looking for defensive tackles. They haven't landed the ones at the top of the wish list. Where do they go from here? They got to get somebody. Who's left? We'll talk about that coming up after SportsCenter. Also get you LSU's SEC standings in baseball and how they can make the NCAA tournament. And very excited to welcome Matt McMahon to the show at 2:30. 35 minutes from right now, we'll talk some basketball with the head coach of the LSU Fighting Tigers. Hope your work week is off to an awesome start. We are brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products on our Monday shows. We're going to pause for SportsCenter. When we come back, defensive tackle shopping. Where's LSU need to be looking? That's next.
Good fried tradition. Roca Pizzeria is heating up its new half-off happy hour, Monday through Fridays, 3 to 6 p.m. Come enjoy 50% off margarita, pepperoni, more cheese, craft cocktails, wine by the glass, and draft beer. Roca Pizzeria, 3897 Government.
Since we were little, we've been inseparable, but vaping felt
towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
the best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Timberwolves center Rudy Gobert questionable for Game 2 of the second-round NBA playoff series tonight against the Nuggets for personal reasons. He became a father for the first time after his partner delivered a baby boy this morning. Meantime, Denver point guard Jamal Murray questionable with a left calf strain that he continues to play through. ESPN NBA analyst Jay Williams.
Obviously, the health of Jamal Murray is going to be a critical element here. I think Mike Malone is going to have a lot of different adjustments on what Anthony Edwards, considering it huge game one. When you start digging into it, though, the second game at home for Denver, I think we're going to see a different team engage defensively.
Jay Will on Get Up. Anthony Edwards had a career playoff high 43 points in Minnesota's Game 1 victory. Mavericks sign coach Jason Kidd to a multi-year extension. His name reportedly mentioned as a candidate for the Lakers head coaching vacancy. After 38 seasons as an NHL head coach or assistant, Winnipeg Jets coach Rick Bowness is retiring. Second round Stanley Cup playoffs. Panthers welcome the Bruins in their series opener tonight. Face off at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon, coming on Tuesday. I'll tell you just how many teams left in the playoffs can actually win the title. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Matt McMahon, LSU head basketball coach, in 30 minutes. His roster just about set for the 2024-2025 season. So we'll talk to the head coach about that coming up here at the bottom of hour number 2. Got some baseball to talk about in 15 minutes, but we will start with the football side of things, and it's not super upbeat conversation here regarding defensive tackles for LSU football. We understand the dire need that LSU is in for high-level defensive tackles. It is far and away the Achilles heel of this football roster at this point. And so LSU put the full court press on for Dominic Williams, put the full court press on for Simeon Barrow, and those two have announced their intentions to go elsewhere. Dominic Williams headed to Norman to play for the Sooners. Simeon Barrow going down to South Beach to play for Miami. So those guys had logged a lot of snaps at a pretty high level at quote-unquote Power 5 schools in Michigan State and TCU. That's where LSU needed to go to land some of these guys. And unfortunately, as we sit here on the 6th of May, you don't have anybody that you've brought in outside of Gio Paez at the defensive tackle spot. And Paez was really an edge player at Wisconsin who's going to shift inside here in Baton Rouge. So the question is, like, where else do you go? Like, the transfer portal's got a bajillion players in it, but are you just grabbing a guy to grab a guy? Or are you going to get somebody that's going to be a difference maker on your team? If you look at On3 and you look through best available players on the defensive line, you see some names that we've talked about over the last few weeks. The first is Aiden Huntington. Aiden Huntington is a ULM product, played up there in the 318, and had a really nice year for ULM. 16 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks. Like, that's productive stuff. But he's 6 feet tall and 260 pounds. That is fine in the Fun Belt. I just don't know if that works in the Southeastern Conference. That's 40 pounds lighter than most defensive tackles play at. And that's just not an insignificant amount of weight. And again, I'm not a professional scout. I'm not a defensive line coach. Like, I don't know. It just seems to me like that's a bit of a reach. Anthony Dunn is another guy that's undersized. 6'4", 250 pounds from Florida A&M. He had 8 sacks and 12 tackles for loss, but that's in the SWAC. I just don't know if that's the water that LSU needs to be fishing in. CJ West is a name we've talked about a good bit. Kent State product, 6'2", 305 pounds. He was productive for them last year, made 50 tackles, had 7 tackles for loss, and he's got the size that you would look at. Now, does the translation from the MAC to the SEC work? I don't know. That's probably a guy I'd be willing to take a flyer on. Now, if you've paid any attention to CJ West and what he's done, it sounds like that's a guy who's looking for some NIL compensation. And he's not going to be available to join your roster until August. He's got work to do academically, and it would be a very late ad. Now, is that the end of the world? No, it's not. And that's a guy I'd absolutely be looking at if I were LSU. There's some other guys from some higher level schools that haven't been active really. Talking about Curtis Perry from Alabama, who's 6'2", 267 pounds. Thomas Gore from Miami, 6 feet tall, 280. Johnny Bowens at Oregon. That's more of an edge player at 6'2", 250. So it's kind of an either-or thing. It's the lower-level player that's been super productive or the high-level player who hasn't played. The guys who were the high-level players that have played are off the board. So LSU, I don't know if I'd call it scramble mode. I don't know what the tenor is over there, but I can tell you that as this thing is constituted right now, it's dire. And as I continue to go through these names, whether it's Aiden Huntington, Anthony Dunn, CJ West, Curtis Perry, Thomas Gore, Johnny Bowens, like I continue to go through those, is there any evidence that those guys are better players than Dominic McKinley? Because LSU literally has defensive tackles. You've got about 7 of them. The issue is not like just solely numbers. It's the talent level, the productivity level that isn't there for this group, I think. And I just don't know if bringing a guy in from Florida A&M or ULM is going to make things any better. See what I'm saying? Like, bringing in a warm body, yeah, it's better than an empty chair, I guess. But is it going to make any impact? It feels like as we sit here, and I don't recall a situation like this in the past. Maybe at linebacker, right when Dave Aranda got here. Remember the famous quote where Dave Aranda is looking at Les Miles on a plane, they're going recruiting. He says, "Coach, we have more punters on the roster than linebackers." Like that got to a rough spot. But I don't recall a situation where from the outside, all of us who cover the team, all of us who pull for the team, the fans, like everybody is looking at defensive tackle and going, this is not great. Like I don't recall that situation arising at any other position. It's just been such a combination of transfer portal, early draft entries, guys not panning out. There are so many things that go into it, but all of us are sitting here looking at it going, this is not awesome. And it feels like when we sit here at SEC Media Days in July, and then when we get into preseason camp in August, like I feel like we're going to be talking more about defensive tackle than any position on the field. And I don't recall that ever really being the case with LSU's football roster. I feel like it's always been pretty fairly balanced. Sometimes you have a spring where you're light on running back numbers or you don't have the corners that you were looking to have. That can happen sometimes in the spring, but it feels like we're going to go into the fall here looking at defensive tackle going, that's what we're sending out there? It's a tough spot, and you really felt like that in the era of the transfer portal, they could address this with some of these big names that jumped in, and now we sit here as things are kind of slowing down, and you're going, well, so we'll see if CJ West is the guy that LSU can pull in. We'll see if they can evaluate some of these guys at a lower level and see who can help. But nobody else is going into the transfer portal because that window has closed. Now you see the guys that are in there, they don't have any sort of deadline on when they have to move or when they do move. But LSU's got to figure something out. we'll see what Brian Kelly, Bo Davis, and company can make happen in the transfer portal at defensive tackle. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. All your printing, copying, scanning needs, they can help you out at Gulf Coast Office Products. When we come back, LSU, NCAA tournament in baseball. How do they get there? I've kind of got the roadmap. I'll let you know what that looks like coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Love telling you about my friends at Boudreaux's Electric. Neil and Melissa have been running that place for 40 years down in Napoleonville. New location showing up here in Gonzales. If you are in our listening area, you are eligible to get a standby generator from the folks over at Generac. Boudreaux's is a certified Generac dealer, a premier Generac generator dealer. I'll tell you about the technology that Boudreaux's Electric has. They can monitor your Generac generator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So in the event that something malfunctions, fails, doesn't work properly, they'll know about it even if there's not a storm around. They'll monitor, oh, something's wrong. They'll give you a call, say, hey, your generator's not working properly. Let us come out there and fix it, so that when the storm does roll through and the power does come out, your generator is ready to spring into action and make sure that you don't have to deal with those pesky power outages. Whether you work from home and you got to have it powered, or you just want to be able to stay home through a storm and have a cool house and television that's running, that Generac generator can help you do it from the folks over at Boudreaux's Electric. Give them a call. It's 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. Ask them about their warranties that come with each and every Generac generator. That's my friends at Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local.
Charles Hannegriff joined me and Jimmy Ott for the next edition of Live at Lunch from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Andy Isco joins us from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Okay, so when they're 3-12 in league play, talking about what needs to be done to make the NCAA tournament is kind of dumb. Like it just kind of is. We held out hope, knowing that the schedule was softening a little bit, but we always gave you kind of that benchmark of you need to get to 13 or 14, and you better hurry. Like that's basically all the discussion is. Now that LSU has won 3 straight series, they've put themselves in striking distance to get to 13 or 14 league wins. I think the discussion can be a little bit more detailed and nuanced at this point in the schedule. So I'm prepared to have that conversation with the understanding that there are a lot of variables at play. And if LSU goes out there in Tuscaloosa and gets swept, well, you can dump all this off the table. Okay? You got to go out there and win games. But here's where LSU sits. And I'm not going to go into any non-SEC teams because right now it feels like LSU is jockeying with a group of teams within the Southeastern Conference for position. And I think that's the easiest way to have this discussion with 2 weeks left in the season. Right now, LSU is 9-15 in league play. I told you last week that over the last 5 years, teams that win 13 league games get into the NCAA tournament 50% of the time. 3 had gotten in, 3 did not. If you get to 14, every team that had gotten to 14 SEC wins had gotten in to the NCAA tournament. So if you go 5-1 over the last 2 weekends, you're in the field. Period. 14-16 in the league, won your last 5 SEC series, beat the number 1 team in the country. You can go to Hoover and go 0-1. I believe at 14-16, LSU is good as gold. So 5-1 down the stretch, you're fine. The nuance comes in if you go 4-2. If you go 4-2, and let's just say you win 2 out of 3 both times for the sake of this discussion, theoretically you could sweep one and lose a series 2 out of 3. But if you win those 2 series, I believe LSU at 13-17 in the league, having won their last 5 SEC series, with series losses to Arkansas and Tennessee, Mississippi State, like those are quality teams you're losing to. I believe LSU would be in good shape with their RPI in the 20s and 13 league wins, 5 SEC series wins in a row. I think that feels to me like a better than 50% chance you would get in. Not a lock, but a better than 50% chance. However, as we sit here right now, without the benefit of those next 2 series wins, LSU is looking uphill at some teams in the SEC. Look at Ole Miss, for instance. LSU is tied with Ole Miss as far as SEC record. Both teams are 9-15. However, Ole Miss has 10 quad 1 wins. LSU has 4. Ole Miss's RPI is 9 spots better than LSU. Ole Miss is a 23 RPI. LSU is a 32. Now, LSU and Ole Miss played the last weekend, and that matters. But Ole Miss is going back home to Oxford to play Texas A&M this weekend. It pains me greatly, but Gigamags, you need to have Texas A&M this weekend. Whoop! It's my yell leader coming back out.
That was good.
Thank you. Need the Aggies this weekend against Ole Miss. You need to hurt Ole Miss in the SEC standings. You need to help them from getting top 50 wins and knock that RPI down a little bit if possible, because you're still talking about the number 1 RPI team, so still losing 3 games, not going to be crippling as far as the RPI goes, but it would be crippling as far as a conference record goes. You need A&M to go to Oxford and start bashing the baseball over the yard. Braden Montgomery did not have a hit over the weekend for A&M. He needs to have about 6 coming up this weekend at Swayze. Florida is a game better than LSU. in the SEC. Florida's 10-14 to LSU's 9-15. Florida's RPI is 25. That's 7 spots better than LSU. And Florida has 10 Quadrant 1 wins and a phenomenal strength of schedule. Let me look at Florida's strength of schedule. As I thought, it's number 1. So the issue for Florida is going to be making sure they're over 500. And that is no lock. You're going to hear this a bunch over the next 2 weeks because Florida is 24-23. They must be over 500 to qualify for the NCAA tournament as an at-large. So what does Florida have left on their schedule? Well, they've got one more midweek game. That's tomorrow against South Florida. We need South Florida to win that game. Florida has been abysmal in the midweek this year, just losing to everybody. Florida State's run ruling them. They're losing to Central Florida, losing to Stetson. Like, they've been awful in the midweek this year. That needs to continue tomorrow. And if you can get them under 500, you can knock them out of the NCAA tournament and probably free up a bid. Oh, by the way, Florida's last 2 weekends, Kentucky, who leads the SEC in Gainesville, then they travel to Georgia. Not a very fun place to play these days. Ask Vanderbilt. So if Florida is to lose more than they win moving forward, they're not even going to be eligible for the NCAA tournament. And that would be a big lift to LSU to knock them out. And then there's Vanderbilt, who right now is 2 games clear of LSU with the tiebreaker. They're 11-13 in league play, 2 games better than LSU, as I mentioned. But they have a brutal schedule coming up. They just got swept, and they play Tennessee and at Kentucky. I can paint you a picture where Vanderbilt goes 1-5 the rest of the way, and LSU could potentially leapfrog them in league play. This is a lot to ask, but I'm trying to make sure you're in the top 10 in the SEC. So if you can bury Ole Miss, whether it's you doing it or A&M doing it, they would join Missouri and Auburn behind you. And then you need Florida potentially to go backwards and go under 500. Bama's the other team in the mix here. They finish at Auburn in league play after they play LSU this weekend. At Auburn, I know it's a big rivalry, but I'm not expecting Bama to have a ton of trouble with the Plainsmen. I would love it if they did, but you realize what you're dealing with there. So LSU right now is jockeying for position with Ole Miss, Florida, Bama, and Vandy. Those are the teams you need to be concerned with. I'm not going to get into mid-majors and ACC teams and all that as we sit here today. LSU on paper is not awesome right now. Their RPI is the worst of this bunch. Their quad 1 is the worst of this bunch. LSU has 4 quad 1 wins. Ole Miss has 10. Florida has 10. Bama has 10. Vandy has 6. LSU's last there, and they're last in RPI here because Bama's 16, Ole Miss is 23, Florida's 25, Vandy's 26, LSU's back at 32. So as we sit here today, LSU on paper, not great. But for the purpose of this discussion, we understand that LSU has to go out there and win 4 more games in league play and take care of their business tomorrow against Northwestern. That's where we sit. None of this conversation matters. RPI doesn't matter. Quad 1 doesn't matter if LSU goes out and goes 2-4 over the next 6 SEC games. Then you hope you're getting to Hoover, and you got to go ahead and win the whole tournament. Now, people are asking, what if they go 12-18 and they make a run in Hoover? I still think you're in big trouble. 12-18 is hard to overlook for a selection committee. It just is. Your RPI would still be decent. Everyone understands the SEC is really good. You're the defending national champs. You got LSU on the hat, the whole deal. But you go 12-18, I think you're probably cooked. We're talking about the baseline here's got to be 13, and at 14, you're a cinch. It's easier said than done. The only team that's gone to Tuscaloosa and won a series thus far has been Texas A&M. Tennessee went down there and lost 2 out of 3. Arkansas went down there and lost 2 out of 3. Only the Aggies have come out with a win. Bama hits. But they don't pitch it great, and LSU's playing better baseball. If you can go to Tuscaloosa and get 2, you come back to your home field against Ole Miss, you can, in one fell swoop, knock them out of the NCAA tournament and catapult yourself into it. It's just difficult, like I laid out at the top of the show, for me to feel awesome about LSU winning back-to-back series when I think about the fact that in Game 3s, they have been absolutely non-competitive. That puts quite a bit of pressure on Games 1 and 2 when you have very little chance in Game 3. But they've done it the last couple of weeks and made it work. So I'm certainly hopeful that LSU can get that done. Our baseball breakdowns all season long brought to you by Pluckers. Our Monday shows brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. This is a story that I tell you each and every week when I talk about Gulf Coast Office Products because it's so true. You can do business with the mom and pop stores, and they're going to have a great relationship with you, and you'll get great customer service, but maybe they don't have the resources to handle your situation. You can do business with the monster conglomerates, and you're just a line on the spreadsheet, and if you pick up the phone and call them, you might just get a voicemail. There are positives and negatives to both of those, but once you find that sweet spot in the middle, that's what Gulf Coast Office Products is. They've got plenty of resources to service your printing, copying, scanning needs. They've got tons and tons of inventory right here in Baton Rouge. They've got a fantastic staff that services your equipment as well. All those resources, but they've also got the relationship. They're a local company, can service all of Louisiana. You're going to have a great relationship with your rep, whether it's Trey or anyone that you deal with at Gulf Coast Office Products. Great, great company in terms of their relationships with their people and the resources they've got over there at Gulf Coast Office Products. So for your printing, scanning, copying needs, GCOPnet.com, and it's Gulf Coast Office Products. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, LSU's basketball roster pretty well set for 2024. We're talking about it with the head coach of the Tigers, Matt McMahon, coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. A lot of folks locked in a great interest rate a couple years ago when you refinance. Not in a hurry to move because you like that low interest rate, but could use little something else in your living situation. How about a customized brand new bathroom? You don't have to call 5 different contractors to get your bathroom taken care of. You call one. It's One Bath and Closets. They handle it soup to nuts. The entire thing handled by One Bath and Closets. They're a licensed contractor. They can do a full-scale renovation or remodel or something easy like a tub-to-shower conversion. And as I've been telling you for the last couple of weeks, if you tell them that the Hunt Palmer Show sent you to One Bath and Closets, $1,000 off of your project. That's real money. $1,000 off of your project over there at One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, request that consultation. That doesn't cost you a cent. It's free. And in fact, it's going to save you $1,000 when you tell them that the Hunt Palmer Show sent you to OneBathAndClosets.com. You can see their great work, great pictures there. You can see testimonials from their satisfied clients and get that free consultation. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
So join us for Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Saints undrafted free agents Kyler Ball and Kyle Sheets join the show. Plus, we're recapping LSU A&M and the latest in the transfer portal for LSU football. It's Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Moving right along here on a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show. We've talked a lot of baseball, talked a little football earlier as well. Time to transition things over to basketball. LSU's 2024-2025 roster just about set. To do that, we'll bring on the head coach of the Fighting Tigers. That is, of course, Matt McMahon. Coach, thanks so much for your time. How are you?
Hunt, doing great. Been a really good spring. How are you?
Doing very well. I'm curious, this is kind of new to everyone with the transfer portal in these springs where there's so much upheaval and roster overturn year to year across every program in college basketball. I'm curious how comfortable you and your staff are with this process now that you've done it 3 times here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, got to figure it out, Hunt. I don't love it, the portal per se. I think our goal as a program is to get to where you're always returning more than you're bringing in. And I think that'd be a good place to land. I like the progress we've made there. I really enjoy the player development piece. And so when you can recruit some of the best players in the country, get them to your program and watch them grow and develop, that's one thing I'm really excited about from a retention standpoint. Tyrell Ward, Jalen Reed, Derek Fountain will be their 3rd year in the program. Mike Williams, Corey Chess, Damian Collins, 2nd year in the program. And then I like the balance. We're one of 7 programs in the country to sign 3 of the top 65 high school players. Love our class there. And then we added 3 guys out of the portal to bring experience and proven production at the college level. So long answer to tell you, we're searching for this hybrid model that I think will be very successful for us.
Let's talk about those guys that are entering year 3 in the program. I thought a big jump forward for Tyrell Ward and Jalen Reed in their 2nd year in college. Those 2 guys specifically, what do they need to work on into the summer as they enter their junior seasons?
Well, Tyrell took the huge jump. Obviously, his 3-point shooting, finishing top 5 in the SEC. And it's all credit to the hard work he put in the offseason. I think in April and May, early June, had taken 30,000 threes. So really put in a lot of time to improve that area of his game. And then Jalen Reed, you see his unique ability at 6'10", 243 pounds to really play on the perimeter as that point forward type player. And I think for both, it's the weight room is going to be huge as they look to take a next step into year 3. And that's another area really excited about. We hired Mike Chapman, who is actually a Baton Rouge native, but has been 17 years in the strength and conditioning profession, and the last 5 years director of sports performance out at Stanford University. I think he's going to be instrumental and really important in those guys' continued development.
Corey Chess got a redshirt year in his first year in college. What can you tell us about his progress?
Yeah, I love his motor, Hunt. High energy, hard playing dude. The key for him this year is he was able to add 15 pounds of muscle. I think he still has a lot of room for growth there, but I think sometimes redshirting is not the easiest thing for players to do. But I thought he took full advantage of it. Puts himself in a great position as we lose 40 minutes a game in our front court. To step into a much, much bigger role on next year's team.
Let's stay in the front court. Damian Collins comes over from Kentucky and battled injury in his first year here in Baton Rouge. What can you tell us about his progress?
Yeah, Hunt, been a challenge for him. I thought was really starting to find his way. Really efficient offensively, as we know, just kind of a once-in-a-lifetime freak athlete. But he had the block shot, dislocated his shoulder, dislocated it again and practice later in the year. So it's going to cost him some time this off season, but it will definitely be 100% and cleared as we get into the fall and headed into the season. So counting on him to take a big step forward as well.
You added some real experience in the backcourt with Cam Carter, Jordan Sears, and Jai Bailey. Let's start with Sears, who comes over from Tennessee Martin. What do you like about his game?
Well, Hunt, he'll be 23 years old for his final season. I think we all know that the key here is what's going to translate from Tennessee Martin into the SEC. And what I love about him, almost 6,000 Division I players in the country last year. There's one player who scored 650 points, 140 assists, 140 rebounds, and made 75 threes or more. And that one player is Jordan Sears. And so I love his ability to lead a team, but he can score it. He's a good creator off the bounce and really shoots it well, 43% from behind the arc, really trying to get that true point guard play that we've struggled with the last couple of seasons.
Cam Carter's a guy that came to the PMAC and played against you this year for Kansas State. He's a Louisiana native, and you bring him into the purple and gold. What do you expect from him?
Hey, Junkyard Dog, Hunt, just a tough, really physical player. You got to think his 15 points, 5 rebounds a game in the Big 12 translates to the SEC. I think he'll take great pride in wearing that LSU jersey and playing in front of his family and friends back home. But I think when you look, you're always trying to figure out the pieces. How do you put the puzzle together? We struggled some with our perimeter defense a year ago. Cam Carter's the best defensive player off a top 20 defense in the country last season. And I think his length and toughness will make a huge impact on both sides of the ball there.
And then another older guard you bring in, the last ad here from the transfer portal, is Jai Bailey from Richmond. What attracted you to him?
Yeah, again, trying to get those puzzle pieces to fit the best way possible. Best defender on the top 30 defense in the country at Richmond last year that won the A-10. He's got 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Actually led the A-10 in field goal percentage. Doesn't shoot a lot of threes. Really aggressive getting to the rim and is an elite finisher at the basket. But I think he really adds a lot of depth at the guard position, but he really improves our perimeter defense, him and Cam Carter, along with Jordan Sears. And I thought that was really important for us as we look to improve our team going forward.
Chatting with LSU head basketball coach Matt McMahon as his roster for 2024-2025 just about set. Let's talk about the high schoolers that you brought in. You mentioned so important in player development, getting guys in early and keeping them for the duration of their college career. Curtis Givens and Robert Miller signed in the early period, and then Victorious Miller here at the end. I really, really like Curtis Givens' highlight tapes. I've certainly not seen him in person, but I just like the way that he plays. What do you like about him at the point guard spot?
Hey, he's my kind of guy, Hunt. I just love what he's about, not just as a player, but he's great character. He's a leader, relentless worker. And I think at that point guard position, you want people that make everyone else on the floor better, and he certainly does that. He's been 2 years now at Montverde Academy in the national championship game. This year he hit 6 threes and was the game's leading scorer. I just think he's all about winning. So it's good size, too, for the position. 6'3", 190 pounds, and uses that physicality well at both ends of the floor. And, yeah, that Montverde team was loaded. I mean, they had elite talent And every game I watched, he was always guarding the other team's best offensive player. And I love that about Curtis, that he takes that challenge on.
Victorious Miller, great size, thought of as a scorer. What does he bring to your program?
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. You know, the ability to shoot the three, but he's also really creative off the dribble. Can get his own points, doesn't need a lot of screens necessarily to make that happen. So I think at 6'5", he's a guy who's got to get stronger, like most high school players coming in. But he can really score it and is incredibly talented and skilled with the basketball. I think as talented as anyone in the program.
Well, you look at obviously the three transfer guards you brought in that are very, very old, and then you've got Tyrell Ward and Mike Williams, who have already been in the program in the backcourt. How quickly do you think Curtis Gibbons and Victorious Miller can make an impact here? Is this a situation where they may have to wait a bit?
No, I think right away. Curtis is an older player. Did the extra year there at Montverde Academy. Has been on the national stage for a long time. Same with Victorious. I think both are two top 50 players in the country, and expect them to come in and make an impact right away.
And the last freshman you signed, Robert Miller, big 6'10" power forward out of the state of Texas. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, very unique. As you know, Hunt, this game continues to change, and the back-to-the-basket scorers like Hakeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing and those guys are few and far between. He's 6'10" and a half, 7'5" wingspan, and similar to Jalen Reed in that he's very skilled on the perimeter as well. Can shoot the three. I think as he continues to get stronger, sky's the limit for where he can go. And another thing, you're always looking for rim protection, especially in this league. It's the number one shot blocking league in the country, and Rob is a guy who's really, really good around the basket at contesting and blocking shots at the rim. So I think he's one of those guys can be as good as he wants to be if he comes in here and puts in the work.
How do you feel about your ability to protect the rim with this roster you put together?
Yeah, I think we have to do it a little bit differently from the standpoint we don't have like that 6'10", 275-pound, just rugged bruiser down there. But we're 6'10", 6'10", 6'10", 6'9", and 6'8" in the front court. I think we're more athletic than we were a year ago. I think there's plenty of opportunity for us to be really good at protecting the rim, which actually, by the numbers was one of the strengths of our team a year ago.
How do you feel entering your third year in the Southeastern Conference as far as managing a roster and coaching game to game?
Yeah.
What have you learned in your 2 years as a bench coach in the SEC?
Oh, I'm fired up about it, Hunt. I think both of these things can be true. I'm really proud of the progress that was made this season to get into the top half of the SEC standings, the way we finished the year, the progress that was made as a program. I think, by the numbers, second most improved Power 6 team in the country in league play. And in the second part, we still got to get a lot better. And that's what I'm excited about getting into the summer. But as far as the league, I mean, there's a reason the last 4 years SEC's had more NBA draft picks than any other league. The talent is off the charts. I think when you look at the style of play, the athleticism and physicality, just incredible. Number one shot blocking league in the country, number one offensive rebounding league in the country, fourth fastest playing league in the country. And so I think we have found, for me, the right mix of player retention, elite high school recruiting, and then using the portal to fill in the gaps. And I think that's the formula as we move forward.
You spent a lot of years in the state of Kentucky coaching basketball. What's it going to be like to see John Calipari in red when you see him at the coaches' meetings?
That is going to be crazy. That was like, it's very rare in today's social media and immediate information world that you get surprised. And that one really came out of nowhere, that Final Four weekend with Coach Cal making the move over to Arkansas.
We're fired up for some basketball, Coach. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me on, Hunt. Really appreciate it.
You bet. That's head coach Matt McMahon of the LSU basketball team. He's got his roster set entering the 2024-2025 season. I'll tell you that the guard play is exciting. And one thing that he mentioned there that I'm not going to have a great feel for, just because on a highlight tape you're going to see a lot of passing and a lot of shooting, a lot of dunking. He mentioned that 2 of the transfers they brought in were the best defensive player on their team. LSU struggled at times defending the perimeter last year, and when you get beat off the bounce time and time again, your defense just has no chance. You're going to be in rotation all the time. You're going to have way too many easy looks. You're going to get in foul trouble. It's just going to be a disaster. You've got guys out there on the perimeter that can sit down and guard. It changes the entire outlook of a team, and I really like that. And then there's some scoring there as well. Coach McMahon's talking about he's got a formula. They want to recruit 3 or 4 of the top high school players in the country every single year, and then supplement that with 2 or 3 guys out of the transfer portal that are going to be a big impact. And hopefully in year 3, one more jump up and trip to the NCAA tournament is on the horizon for the LSU Fighting Tigers. We certainly hope so. We appreciate Coach McMahon for taking a little bit of time on this Monday. We'll come back and close things out. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. Mitchell Fisher and his team, local company, they do fantastic work. Mitchell was there every step of the way at my home as they were doing some audio work for us, putting our security system in, mounting our televisions when we moved. They handled it all over there at Audio Video Security Solutions. I mentioned the security system. It's just a game changer. There's nothing more important than the safety of your family and your home. And with the system that we've got installed, we feel safe and secure whether we're at the home or whether we're not. I can monitor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on my phone. We've got the cameras right there. I can arm and disarm the phone right there from the app on my phone. Security system has been awesome for us, and it's courtesy of the folks over at Audio Video Security Solutions. They supplied all the equipment. It was all baked in to the price right there, and we appreciated them for getting that done in just one day. It was awesome. So if you're looking to get a security system installed, look no further than Audio Video Security Solutions. You can find them on Instagram at AVSS_BR. You can give Mitchell Fisher a call at 225-439-7920, or you can visit them online. It's Audio Video Security Solutions at avssla.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the
Sandegriff joined me and Jimmy Ott for the next edition of Live at Lunch from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Andy Iskoe joins us from Las Vegas. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, Beck, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You've not been prepped for this. We'll see how this goes.
All right.
I just got sent a graphic. I can't prove that it's right, but I'm just going to assume it's right. My buddy just sent it to me. Big four sports leagues, so NHL, MLB, NBA, and NFL.
Yep.
Worst all-time playoff series or game for it's the NFL record for the big four sports. I've got the bottom 25, but who's the worst in terms of playoff performance over the years?
Which sport?
Yeah, it's all. I've got all.
I'll say NBA.
No, I'm talking about teams. What team is the worst?
Oh, shoot. I mean, well, it has to be a team that's been in the playoffs.
Yes.
Right? It can't just be a team that's not going. So I'll say I was going to say the Cavaliers, but no, it's not them because they had LeBron.
They won a lot with
them. Yeah, they won a lot. Let's say, I wish I could at least narrow it down to which sport it is.
It's the NBA.
Okay, that's
the NBA
what I thought.
has the worst.
How about the Magic?
Your New Orleans Pelicans have the worst record in playoff series of any team in any sport. They are a 182 winning percentage.
Nice.
Followed second, NHL Utah. I don't even know what that means. There must have been a team in Utah at some point.
Yeah.
Then the Timberwolves. Then I believe that's the Minnesota Wild.
Yep.
It's just a logo. I think that's who it is. I think it's Columbus Blue Jackets next, the Hornets, the Jets, the Winnipeg Jets, not the New York Jets, the Grizzlies, Twins, Kings, 13th, Chicago Cubs, 333.
Ooh.
All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
All righty, first one here.
Didn't mean
Miami.
to pile on the Pels there, but I thought that was interesting.
Miami Heat president Pat Riley was not holding back today at his end of the season press conference, saying Jimmy Butler should keep his mouth shut in reference to Butler trolling the Celtics and Knicks on X. And he also said of Tyler Hero, he's been fragile. Maybe someday he will surprise everyone and play every game. Riley is the Jerry Jones of the NBA. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I think Riley's done a pretty good job. The Heat have had a really good franchise. Even after LeBron left, they've been good. So I'll pass on that. However, that is hilarious, and that sounds like a 79-year-old man that absolutely does not give a rip anymore and is just going to say whatever he thinks. And taking shots at Tyler Hero. A little hurt from time to time on South Beach.
All right, next one here. Cubs pitcher Justin Steele is expected to make his return from injury tonight, starting against the Padres and, of course, former Cub Yu Darvish. Steele gets the quality start tonight. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. Justin Steele is very good. I know it was not an arm injury, so he should be ready to roll. It's not like they have to baby his elbow or anything. Like, he should be up to speed and should be able to go 6 innings if he's pitching well. I don't know if the Padres have been awesome this year.
They've been okay.
But I'm fired up to watch him pitch. Yu Darvish is tough, but I like the Cubs whenever Justin Steele's on the mound, so I'm looking forward to tonight. I will take it.
All right, last one here. After 33 2/3 innings as a pro, Paul Skeens finally gave up his first home run yesterday. It wasn't a winning effort over the Buffalo Bisons, though. Skeens' ERA went all the way up to .99 on the season. Skeens will be pitching for the Pirates by June. Take it or leave it.
By June, I will leave it.
Okay.
I think by the 4th of July, I would feel more comfortable with that.
Okay.
I would not rule it out by June, but I think by the 4th of July, sometime in the next 6-7 weeks, I think Paul Skeens will get the call up. I don't know exactly what else they'd be waiting for at that point. Your service time manipulation stuff is in the rearview mirror. I think it's time to rock and roll. So I would be excited for that. Unfortunately, he's in the same division as the Cubs, so
Hopefully,
that's not as much fun. But I want Skeens in the big leagues. I know Dylan's kind of fighting it a little bit right now in the minor leagues, but he won't be far behind Paul Skeens. He'll be up at some point, maybe start of next year or late this year if he gets hot. So looking forward to seeing those guys and wish that they would play for LSU this weekend against Alabama.
That would be helpful.
That would be very, very good. But it won't happen. That's all right. That's it for us here on this Monday show. We are always presented by Gulf Coast Office Products on Monday, gcopnet.com. If you missed any of today's show, go back and catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound. You can find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. First 30 minutes of today's show, we're talking about LSU winning 2 out of 3 over Texas A&M over the weekend and where the Tigers go from here as far as pitching goes, because there just aren't that many guys they can trust, and you see that in Game 3s where LSU's gotten crushed. Are the Saints going to move on from Marshon and Lattimore? Saints GM Mickey Loomis says probably not. I gave my thoughts on that at 1:30. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. In the second hour, LSU still in search mode for defensive tackles. What's still out there on the board, and will that even help at this point? I talked about that at 2 o'clock. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. SEC standings and NCAA tournament chances for LSU baseball. We want to know what that kind of looks like. I gave it a quick look at 2:15, what LSU needs to do over the next 2 weeks. And Matt McMahon, good enough to join us at 2:30, talking about his basketball roster that is just about finished for this coming season that comes up later this fall. Hope you check all that out on demand. That's it for us here. Matt is back, and he's going to drive you home from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time and same place. Have a great Monday evening. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.